Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to more Sonic Amateur Games Expo 2016 coverage with me, Sonic Yoda from SEGADriven. In this episode we're taking a look at Sonic Incursion by EII678 or E11678, either way it's difficult to pronounce. This is a 2.5D sort of traditional style Sonic game, so it's 16-bit gameplay, bringing it back to its roots sort of thing. But it's using Sonic GDK, which is the community-developed Sonic engine that runs using the Unreal development kit. So it's quite a pretty little thing as well. Well, we'll get onto that. But yeah, so it's an interesting thing because it's using obviously a 3D development tool to make a 2D classic-style Sonic game, which is commendable. I think they've done a decent enough job to make this playable and enjoyable on a base level, but it suffers from a few problems. So I'm not particularly keen on the looks to begin with. It looks like it's pieced together with existing Sonic assets from different games. A lot of Sonic 06 I'm recognising in this, Wave Ocean in particular, which, you know, it's not the sort of game you want to be reminded of the most when you're playing a Sonic game. So there's that. Outside of the visuals though, it does play nice. It plays like a traditional Sonic game. It's got nice momentum, it does handle quite well, it feels very responsive. There were a few sort of glitches I noticed. There was a bit in particular where Sonic just sort of darted around for no good reason in a spot, which I couldn't quite get my head around. I don't know why that happened. And there's also this very sort of ill-advised jet ski stage where basically Sonic is riding a jet ski. You don't actually have to do anything. You just, other than jump out of the way of obstacles and for you to collect rings and stuff. So it's a bit dull. It doesn't really sort of need to be there. There's a real lack of... There's no sense of speed to that section as well. And there's a lot of like stuff happening in the background. There's like boats sort of coming in, and then the Metal Sonics fly in and blow them up and stuff. And it looks a bit naff. It's very sort of scripted and a bit... There's no flair to it, unfortunately. I appreciate as well, you know, there's obviously one person sort of bedroom code in this, and it's difficult to make explosions and just things happening look really sort of flash and interesting. But yeah, I just don't see the point of that section in particular. So that's a shame, but otherwise, you know, gameplay is pretty solid. It's certainly enjoyable to play. Stage design is alright, I suppose. Early on it's a lot better. But as it progresses, you do encounter quite a lot of pitfalls, which feel a bit unfair because they're instant death. I feel like if you're going to design a Sonic game in the classic mould, you need to think about what would happen if you'd fall down in a pitfall in the classic Sonic game. There's very rarely like proper pitfalls in classic Sonic games. It's always just like a lower path that's a bit slower. So you take your time in there, and then you work your way back up the top where it gets more difficult, sort of thing. That's how Sonic stage design should be in my eyes. But yeah, like I say, this does feel like it gets a little bit unfair pretty quickly. But otherwise, you know, a pretty solid little game. A nice use for Sonic GDK instead of making a 3D Sonic game, which is often what people do. Instead, they've just used the fact that it can do 3D graphics and then made something 2D and a little bit more traditional, which I respect. And I do like the sunburst effect that you get sort of like through most of it. You know, you get this lovely sort of blast of just light in your direction, and it casts some nice shadows, and it just looks quite pretty. Which is a shame because the actual like art design isn't nearly as pretty, I'm afraid. But yeah, I'd say this was a pretty average attempt at, you know, trying to make Sonic work in 3D, but also in 2D. So you get this lovely sort of 2.5D effect, but yeah, the execution isn't quite as solid as I would hope.